And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez here, your favorite wrestling fan, talking wrestling Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time on the GSMC Sports Network. Make sure you tune in. We talk about everything, all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage curtain rumors, dramas. We also talk about superstar injury and inactivity. Statuses. We also talk about contract extension, negotiations, also, perhaps new signings from AEW to WWE to TNA to Ring of Honor to even NWA, MLW to GCW. If it makes major news wrestling headlines, we talk about it here on the show. So make sure you make sure you tune in. Even if you're a new wrestling fan, honestly, a show like this could definitely be a great place to start. I actually know a couple of other stuff that I watch on YouTube as well. A lot of other content creators, and I'm like, oh man, that's actually, it's actually super cool. You know what I mean? Definitely, big fan of professional wrestling. You know, you kind of have to watch everything, to get better at what exactly you like doing. And talking about professional wrestling, that's what I like doing. That's what I like doing. All right, so we just got done talking about Alexa Bliss's possible return. When is WWE going to pull the trigger, and are they holding off, purposely? Now we're going to get into Mercedes Monet possibly receiving special treatment from AEW. AEW's president Tony Khan. Uh, you know, I am not the one to conspiracy theorize, here. Although I know when it comes to professional wrestling, storylines is everything, and a good juicy story, it's cool. You know what I mean? This girl became one of the highest paid women's wrestlers inside the whole industry once when she went to AEW. I'm not trying to say like all pieces kind of add to the puzzle. The crumbs, the rainbow goes to the pot of gold, obviously. But it would make sense. You know what I mean? Like if someone had a contract clause saying that, every event she kind of goes to, she wants her own personal, dressing room or her locker or whatever, you know what I mean? It's a possibility. It's definitely a possibility, but a lot of stars, there's a lot of tensions backstage in AEW, and it's not good. And it's not good for your wrestling promotion, especially when, your women's wrestlers are putting on great matches. They're wrestling on Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, and on PLEs and stuff like that. They had All In, then 2 weeks later they had All Out. So, these people are working. People are working. So the last thing you want is disgruntled employees definitely, going on the road, traveling with each other with this animosity, maybe a little looming jealousy. And it's just not good. It's just not good 1,010%. So after debuting for AEW, Mercedes Monet was kind of labeled as the company's biggest failure. You know, I I'm not really going to really argue that much about that point. I kind of thought her gimmick in when AEW was, kind of bad. I thought it was pretty bad. She came in, she was immediately awarded the TBS championship, immediately awarded the New Japan Women's Strong Championship. You know what I mean? I'm not saying she doesn't deserve it. You know what I mean? She definitely, she has the skills inside the ring. Some people say she doesn't have that much skills, but she draws eyes. She draws eyes. She draws attention to the product, which is exactly what Tony Khan was trying to do once when he signed a blockbuster deal with Mercedes Monet. Um, I love her more as a heel. I love her more as a heel. Her as a babyface, I was, buying it a little bit. But, Mercedes Monet, her personality, I feel like actually does reflect on the screen pretty, like, I don't know, kind of likely, kind of, like she's the same person she is inside the ring, like she is behind the curtain. You know what I mean? Like I feel like she has a cocky attitude. You know what I mean? Like if you're one of the good wrestlers in the industry, I'm not going to say the best. If she was one of the best wrestlers to kind of be inside the maybe I guess maybe I can say the best. She does deserve a contract like this, but I'm not saying she deserves, you know, I don't even know, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy because I'm not there. Like me, I am not like an AEW superstar. I'm not in the in the women's division, so I'm not, I don't travel with them, so I really can't give like a that great of a, not comparison, that great of a, intellectual conversation an in-depth analysis about like, hey, like honestly, this kind of sucks, dude. But I don't know. The stories of her being difficult to work with in WWE, the friction inside the locker room that she's receiving special treatment backstage at AEW events. Mercedes Monet is accompanied by her own entourage on every show. I guess take your friends. That's cool. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see why that would suck that bad. You know what I mean? Kind of comes in, thinking that she's the best thing since sliced bread. Uh, she has her own private locker room. Not everyone has that treatment, and it's kind of rubbed her fellow wrestlers the wrong way. You know what I mean? There's actual tensions between her and Britt Baker. Um, Britt Baker's recent suspension, well, kind of looming, maybe suspended, maybe not suspended before they had the match in Wembley Stadium. There's talks about maybe Britt Baker getting suspended. Obviously, thanks to due to some things that happened backstage. I'm not really going to get into that. Obviously allegations and speculations and stuff like that. But anyway, Britt Baker obviously not a huge fan of Mercedes Monet. Soraya also, not a huge fan, has made her feelings clear about disliking Mercedes Monet, which, Soraya, I don't, she's definitely been a trailblazer in terms of the women's division on WWE. And I can say that, some good things about her in terms of AEW. I think 1,010%, she's great on the roster. Once when you found out that formerly known as Paige is All Elite, Soraya inside, All Elite Wrestling, it kind of did shake the wrestling world a little bit. Once when you found out that, oh my, I think she was one of the first ones to do it. I think she was one of the first ones to do it when you kind of saw, you know, as a WWE fan, you kind of saw some of these superstars and they're going over to AEW. Then you saw Bryan Danielson, then you saw John Moxley, and then eventually you would see Mercedes Monet and Claudio Castagnoli. Like you would see all these guys, all these WWE guys that were really really good. And then you saw Andrade, and then you saw Aleister Black and Keith Lee and Buddy Matthews, and it's just it tripped me out. You know what I mean? I was like, whoa, like AEW is loading up to be pretty badass, man. That's crazy. And they're international, which is, definitely puts the cherry on top. So, Tony Khan hired her, a personal writer, and gave her creative control. Not good. Giant red flag there. Obviously reminds me of Hulk Hogan WCW vibes, where you can choose which creative direction you're going to go through, who's allowed to beat you inside the ring. And it's I don't know, just doesn't it just kind of, a lot of red flags there. People claim this is exactly why Tony Khan gets pushed around by his AEW talent. Triple H, with his new WWE, obviously stars wouldn't really react this way because there's a sense of professionalism, but it appears like Tony Khan, perhaps maybe has possible favorites in AEW. You know what I mean? He did say Mercedes Monet was the best wrestler in the world, which I don't really agree with, but like I said, she's the greatest wrestler. She's one of the best ones. Yeah, you know what? I came to the sudden realization like 5 minutes ago on this podcast. I was like, you know what? We can call her great. We can call her great, but we're not going to call her the absolute best. You know what I mean? But um, I don't know. It just the whole creative control thing kind of freaks me out. Uh, like I said, Mercedes Monet, should have. I feel like she should have dropped the TBS championship to Britt Baker. You saw the audience's reaction to Baker's, to her return, and obviously, couldn't get the job done. Once again, maybe makes me feel like maybe Tony Khan, talked to Mercedes Monet, and Mercedes Monet was like, "No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to, I don't, that sucks. I don't want to lose the Brit." Obviously, they have looming, real tension backstage. Obviously, that could lead to a lot of frustrations and stuff like that. I don't know, and there's also possibility that she could be manipulating Tony Khan. They are friends, and Tony Khan has gone above and beyond to help out Mercedes Monet through like family troubles when she was, like when she would be filming and like other, The Mandalorian, I think it was. It was kind of crazy. He kind of bends backwards to make her happy. And like I said, I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist. She's been reported that she's been separated from her ex-husband since 2020, recently filing for divorce. She's an attractive girl. Maybe her and Tony. I'm just kidding. No, no, we're not here to spread lies and allegations, everybody. But if we were to start today, I'm just kidding. No, no, I'm just kidding. But obviously, he has a soft spot for her. Not really a surprise. Obviously, one of your, bigger talents. Although, like, I've kind of agreed with, most of what wrestling media has been saying about Mercedes Monet, that, it could be a possibility that she could be a little difficult to work with. Obviously, all these egos inside the room, it's a possibility. It's a possibility, 1,010%. But then you can also, for Mercedes Monet, and be like, you know what, dude? I travel 365 days a year. Like, what do you want from me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know my worth. I'm a star. She's a movie star. She sings, she raps, she acts, she wrestles. Sometimes when you have something like that, yeah, you gotta stick up for yourself and be like, you know what? Yeah, I deserve the world. I deserve the world. You know what I mean? If I was as good, or if I was, Mercedes Monet, I know that sounds kind of weird, kind of comparison. I would be like, yeah, dude, I want all the money. I could do it. I have a lot of audience attraction. I have, a lot of people followed me from WWE to New Japan Professional Wrestling. And, what I can bring to AEW is a lot more than just, great wrestling matches. A lot of people hate on her mic skills and her promos, which, I feel like they can always get better. But I feel like once when the, kind of Tony Khan had her as a babyface, maybe it kind of, started off, kind of bad. But now, anything could work. Anything could get better. Maybe this might be a little bit of a reach from backstage talent with AEW. But at the end of the day, you're Mercedes Monet, and Monet talks. Monet, just kidding. All right, moving on to our fifth and final segment. Jump into my DeLorean. I'm going to gun it to 88 miles per hour. We're going to go back in time on Tuesdays today in wrestling history. So hey, do not go anywhere.